Imagine you are standing in a duel. Your opponent is 5 feet away. In his hands, a katana capable of cutting through bone in a fraction of a second. He moves. In that microsecond, you have a choice. If you think, is he attacking left? Is he feinting right? Are my feet positioned correctly? If you think, even for a heartbeat, you are already dead. The sword cuts through you before your brain can finish the sentence. You might not be holding a sword today. You might be holding a pen, a steering wheel, or a microphone. But the result is exactly the same. You freeze, you hesitate, you analyze. And while you are busy having a conversation in your head, the opportunity passes. The girl walks away. The deal closes without you. The moment is lost forever. We call this anxiety. We call it overthinking. We call it being careful. The Zen masters of feudal Japan had a different name for it. They called it the abiding place, the place where the mind stops and gets stuck. And to them, this wasn't just a bad habit. It was a fatal flaw. Today, you are going to learn how to kill that voice in your head. You are going to learn the state of Mushin, no mind. It is the state where the actor and the action become one, where there is no you doing the task. There is only the task itself. But be warned, this is not a meditation tutorial for relaxation. This is a mental weapon for domination. To achieve Mushin, you must be willing to let go of the one thing you love the most, your need for control. Before we enter the void, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment Mushin below. Proven to the algorithm and to yourself that you are ready to stop thinking and start acting. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Paralyzed Genius. Let me tell you the story of Elias. Elias was brilliant. High IQ, top of his class, an architect who could visualize entire structures in his mind before drawing a single line. He had the talent to be a legend. But Elias had a parasite living in his brain. Every time he had a major presentation, the parasite woke up. It started the night before, 3 a.m. He's staring at the ceiling. What if the client asks about the budget? What if I stutter on the second slide? Remember 3 years ago when you forgot that number? They're going to think I'm a fraud. His mind wasn't a tool. It was a torture chamber. He would run simulations. Scenario A, Scenario B, Scenario C. By the time the sun came up, he was exhausted. His brain had already lived through 100 failures that hadn't happened yet. When the meeting actually started, Elias wasn't there. His body was in the room, but his mind was still stuck in the simulations. When the client asked a simple question, Elias hesitated, not because he didn't know the answer, but because he was filtering the answer through 10 layers of safety checks. He stuttered. He looked unsure. The client sensed fear. Clients don't buy from geniuses, they buy from conviction. Elias lost the contract. He went home, sat on his couch, and the cycle restarted. Why did I say that? I'm so stupid. I should have done this. This is the stopping mind. The legendary Zen master Takuan Soho wrote a letter to a master swordsman in the 17th century. He explained that when you look at a tree, if your mind stops at a single leaf, you cannot see the tree. If your mind stops on your enemy's sword, you cannot see the enemy. Elias was staring at the leaf. He was obsessed with the outcome, obsessed with himself, obsessed with looking perfect. And because his mind was stopped on these things, he couldn't flow. You are Elias. Every time you rewrite a text message 5 times before sending it. Every time you wait for the perfect moment to start a business. Every time you replay an awkward conversation from 5 years ago while you're trying to sleep, you are suffering from a spiritual constipation. Your energy is blocked by your intellect. You think your intelligence is your greatest asset, but in the realm of high performance, your intellect is often your greatest liability. The conscious mind is slow. It can process maybe 40 bits of information per second. The subconscious body? It processes 11 million bits per second. When you overthink, you are trying to run a supercomputer using a calculator. The samurai understood that to survive on the battlefield, the calculator had to be smashed. The conscious mind had to be turned off so the monster within could be unleashed. But how do you turn off a machine that has been running non-stop since you were born? How do you silence a mind that is addicted to noise? It starts with understanding the two types of mind and killing one of them. Chapter 2. The Two Minds. In the philosophy of Kendo, the way of the sword, there is a distinction that defines the difference between a novice and a master. The first state is called Ushin, Yushin. This translates to the mind of attachment. This is where 99% of people live their entire lives. Ushin is the mind that calculates. It is the mind that worries. It is the ego. When you are in Ushin, there is a you watching you. Think about when you try to parallel park your car while someone is watching. Suddenly, you forget how to drive. Why? Because the watcher has awakened. You are no longer just driving. You are thinking about driving. You are judging your performance in real time. This split attention creates a gap. In Japanese martial arts, this gap is called suki, shi, an opening. In that fraction of a second where you judge yourself, you are vulnerable. In a duel, that is when the blade strikes. In life, that is when you stutter, when you drop the ball, when you hesitate and lose the sale. The second state is Mushin, Ushin, no mind. Do not misunderstand. No mind does not mean being an idiot. It does not mean sleepwalking. It is exactly the opposite. It means the absence of the discursive mind, the absence of the inner monologue. When a master calligrapher writes, the brush, the ink, the hand, and the mind are one. He does not think, I hope this stroke is straight. The stroke just is. There is a famous fable from the Edo period that illustrates this perfectly. A tea master, a man of peace who had never held a weapon, accidentally offended a violent ronin. The ronin challenged him to a duel to the death the following morning. The tea master knew he was a dead man. In a panic, he went to a famous sword master nearby and begged, "Teach me how to die like a warrior." The sword master looked at him and said, "You are already a master of tea. I cannot teach you the sword in one night, but show me how you serve tea." The tea master, resigning himself to his fate, prepared the tea. Because he accepted he was going to die, his fear vanished. He focused entirely on the ritual, the boiling water, the whisk, the pouring. His mind was empty, pure, perfect. The swordmaster watched and said, "There, that is your state of mind. Tomorrow, when you face the ronin, do not think of fighting. Think of making tea. Raise your sword as if you are raising your whisk, and die with that clarity." The next morning, the tea master stood on the duel ground. The ronin drew his katana, expecting to see a trembling old man. Instead, he saw a void. The tea master stood with his sword raised, eyes wide and calm, with no fear, no anger, no calculation. He was in Mushin, The Ronin, a veteran of many battles, froze. He looked for an opening, Suki, but there was none. There was no mind to trick. There was no fear to exploit. The Ronin felt that if he moved, he would somehow be cut down by this strange, empty intensity. The Ronin sheathed his sword, bowed, and ran away. Chapter 3. The Mirror of the Mind. This story teaches us the mechanics of your problem. Elias, the architect from our first chapter, failed because he was fighting the Ronin, the client, with Mushin. He was trying to use logic, fear, and ego. The tea master survived because he bypassed the ego entirely. Taekwondo Soho described Mushin like a mirror. When you place a red flower in front of a mirror, it reflects red. When you place a sword, it reflects the sword. The mirror does not say, "I prefer the flower," or "I am afraid of the sword." It simply reflects what is, instantly, without distortion. Your mind, right now, is not a mirror. It is a photograph. You are holding on to an image of the past or an image of the future. I need to impress them. Future. I hope I don't mess up like last time. Past. While you are staring at these photographs, reality is punching you in the face. Modern neuroscience actually backs this ancient wisdom up. They call it transient hypofrontality. It means the temporary shutting down of the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for self, decision-making, and complex planning. When high-level athletes enter the zone, flow state, MRI scans show that this part of their brain goes dark. It shuts up. The brain shifts control to the basal ganglia, the seat of instinct and drilled patterns. This is the biology of Mushin. You are not adding more brain power. You are subtracting the interference. You are removing the you from the equation. So, the question is no longer, how do I think better? The question is, how do I shut down the prefrontal cortex on command? How do we trigger this state when we are not in a life-or-death sword duel, but just sitting at a desk? The samurai developed specific triggers, psychological anchors to kill the ego instantly. And the first trigger lies in the eyes. Chapter 4. The Predator's Gaze. The first trigger to kill the overthinking mind is purely physical. It is called Enzan no Metsuke, Yuan Shan no Mufu. Translated, gazing at the distant mountain. Look at how you are watching this video right now. Your brows are likely furrowed. Your eyes are locked tight on the screen. Your vision is narrow. This is called foveal vision. Biologically, this narrow focus sends a signal to your amygdala. There is a threat. Focus on it. Analyze it. Stress about it. When you stare intensely at a problem, an email, a person's face, a text message, you are physically forcing your brain into a high beta wave state. You are telling your nervous system that you are being hunted. You are creating your own anxiety with your eyes. The samurai learned to fight differently. If you focus your eyes on the enemy's sword, he can trick you with his feet. If you focus on his eyes, he can kill you with his sword. So, the master looks at everything and nothing. He softens his gaze. He engages his peripheral vision. He sees the mountains in the distance, the enemy in front, and the movement of the grass on the sides, all at once. When you engage panoramic vision, something magical happens in your physiology. Neuroscientists have discovered that expanding your visual field essentially mechanically turns off the stress response. It is impossible to be in a state of panic while maintaining panoramic vision. Try it now. Don't move your eyes. Keep looking forward. But try to see the walls to your left and right. Try to see the ceiling and the floor. Dilate your awareness. Do you feel that? The chatter in your head just got quieter. The knot in your chest loosened. You didn't think your way out of stress. You looked your way out of it. Next time you are in a high-pressure meeting and you feel the Elias panic rising, stop staring at the person's mouth. Soften your eyes. Engage Enza no Metsuke. Look at the distant mountain. Your brain will shift from prey mode to predator mode. But the eyes are only the switch. The engine is the breath. Chapter 5. The Iron Belly. Where do you breathe? If you are like 90% of modern men, you breathe into your chest. Short, shallow breaths. Shoulders moving up and down. This is the breathing pattern of a coward. I don't mean that as an insult. I mean it biologically. This is how a human breathes when they are running away or crying. It keeps your center of gravity high and your nervous system in fight or flight. It creates a top-heavy existence. Imagine a pyramid standing on its tip. It is unstable. A slight wind blows, and it falls. That is you. Your head is heavy with thoughts. Your chest is tight with emotion, and your connection to the ground is weak. You are easily toppled by a rude comment or a bad day. The samurai were obsessed with the tanden, dantian, a point 2 inches below the navel, the energetic center of the body. To achieve Mushin, you must flip the pyramid. You must become bottom-heavy. This is not mystical woo-woo. It is gravity. When you breathe deep into your belly, expanding your stomach, not your chest, you stimulate the vagus nerve. This sends a massive dose of acetylcholine to your heart, physically forcing it to slow down. The Japanese masters call this sinking your mind into the tanden. You take the energy that is spinning wildly in your brain, the what-ifs, the I-should-haves, and you visualize dragging it down your spine and parking it in your gut. When your attention is in your gut, you cannot overthink. The gut does not have language. It does not have logic. It only has being. In Kendo, they say, think with your stomach. So, here is the protocol for the next time chaos strikes. Eyes, soften to panoramic vision. Enza no Metsuke. Breath, inhale for 4 seconds, expanding the belly. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Focus. Feel the weight of your body in the chair or on the floor. But there is one final piece, the most difficult one. You can fix your eyes and your breath, but if you don't fix your relationship with the void, you will always fall back into old habits. You must learn to trust the darkness. Chapter 6. Jumping into the void. Why is Elias, and why are you so addicted to thinking? It's not because you love being smart. It's because you are terrified of the alternative. You believe that if you stop thinking, you will lose control. You believe that your thinking mind is the only thing keeping the plane in the air. If I don't worry about this presentation, I'll fail. If I don't replay the conversation, I won't learn. This is the great lie of the ego. The ego convinces you that it is the pilot, but the ego is not the pilot. The ego is a terrified passenger screaming at the pilot. Mushin requires a leap of faith. It requires you to trust that something else will catch you when you let go. In Japanese archery, Kyudo, the archer does not aim. He does not look at the target and calculate distance, wind, and tension. If he calculates, he misses. Instead, he focuses on his form, on his breath. And when the moment is right, the arrow releases itself. He does not say, I shot the arrow. He says, it shot. Sore ga hanareta. This is the state of jinen, ziran. Spontaneity. It is the trust that your subconscious mind, the one that beats your heart, grows your hair, and digests your food without your permission, is infinitely smarter than your conscious mind. Think about the last time you were truly great at something. Maybe you were playing a video game, maybe you were playing a sport, maybe you were in a deep conversation where you made everyone laugh. Were you thinking? Were you planning your next move? No. You were empty. The words just came out. The moves just happened. You were a vessel. The moment you thought, "Wow, I'm doing great," the magic broke. You missed the shot. The joke fell flat. To destroy overthinking, you must cultivate a reckless abandon. You must practice throwing yourself into situations before your brain has time to boot up its safety software. There is a rule for this, the 3-second rule. When you see the girl you want to talk to, you have 3 seconds. When the alarm goes off, you have 3 seconds. When the idea to speak up in a meeting hits you, you have 3 seconds. Count 1, 2, 3, and go. Move your feet. Open your mouth. Before you have a plan. Before you feel ready. This is terrifying. Your brain will scream, "We are not prepared." Good. You are forcing your system to enter Mushin. By depriving yourself of prep time, you force your body to rely on instinct. You force the it to take over. You are training yourself to trust the void. And the more you trust the void, the more the void delivers. Chapter 7. The Modern Samurai. So, how do we integrate this into a modern life that demands constant analysis? You are not a monk living in a mountain temple. You have bills, deadlines, and complex problems that do require thinking. The goal is not to be in Mushin 24 hours a day. That would be impossible. The goal is to stop the leakage. Most men use their analytical mind for everything. They use a sledgehammer to crack an egg. They analyze what to eat for breakfast. They analyze how to walk. They analyze the tone of a text message. You must compartmentalize. Use your Ushin, thinking mind, for preparation. Use your Mushin, no mind, for execution. When you are preparing for the presentation, think, plan, strategize, worry about the details. That is the time for the ego to work. But the moment you step onto the stage, the moment the bell rings, you fire the ego. You switch the operating system. You say to yourself, the time for thinking is over. The preparation is done. Now, I simply flow. If you catch yourself thinking in the middle of the act, you cut it. You use the sword of awareness to sever the thought instantly. You return to the breath. You return to the eyes. This is the discipline. It is not a one-time fix. It is a constant war against the drift of the mind. Every day, you will catch yourself drifting into worry. Every day, you must pull yourself back to the tanden. Every day, you must choose the distant mountain over the immediate fear. But what happens when you finally master this? What happens when the noise finally stops? You become dangerous. Chapter 8. The Dangerous Silence. When you stop overthinking, you become a glitch in the matrix of modern society. Look around you. Everyone is anxious. Everyone is twitchy. Everyone is desperate to fill the silence with noise, with words, with scrolling. They are terrified of being with themselves. When you enter a room in a state of Mushin, you disrupt their frequency. You don't react to their drama. You don't laugh at jokes that aren't funny just to be polite. You don't rush to fill the awkward pauses. You sit in the silence. You own the silence. This makes people uncomfortable, but it also makes them respect you. They sense that you are tethered to something deeper. While they are leaves blowing in the wind, you are the root. This is the ultimate power of no mind. It is not just about performance, it is about presence. When you are with your family, you are actually with them, not thinking about work. When you are working, you are actually working, not thinking about the weekend. You stop living your life in the gray zone of half here, half there. You start living in high definition. The ancient masters didn't practice sword fighting just to kill enemies. They practiced it to kill the illusions in their own minds. They knew that the greatest enemy was never the man across from them. The greatest enemy was the voice inside that said, "I am afraid." By cutting off that voice, they didn't just become better warriors. They became free men. Conclusion: the land of bliss. Miyamoto Musashi wrote a poem just before his death. It describes the state of mind you must strive for every single day. Under the sword lifted high, there is hell making you tremble. But go on, and you have the land of bliss. Your overthinking is the hell. It is the trembling. The only way out is not to run backward into safety. The only way out is to step forward, to step directly under the sword, to embrace the uncertainty, to stop asking, "What if?" and start saying, "What is?" This week, I want you to pick one activity. Just one. Washing the dishes, walking to your car, or the first set of your workout. Commit to doing it with Mushin. Trigger the eyes, drop the breath, kill the thoughts. Be the sword, be the action. If you fail, reset. If you think, cut it. Return to the void, because in that void, you will find the version of yourself you have been looking for. The version that doesn't hesitate. The version that doesn't apologize. The version that just is. Be present. Walk with honor. Follow the path. If this video helped you quiet the noise, do not just watch it and leave. That is what weak men do. Leave a mark. Comment the word void below. Let this be your public declaration that you are done negotiating with your own mind. And if you want to know how to build a body that can withstand this level of mental intensity, click the video on your screen now. The mind leads, but the body must follow. I'll see you in the void.